What's a good number of things to collect in a video game? 3 magic pendants? 40 DK coins? 120 stars? How about 8? Something just feels right about that number. 8 pieces of the Triforce, 8 crystals in Final Fantasy, 8 Robot Masters for Mega Man. And in that tradition of collecting 8 things comes 8 Eyes on Nintendo. It's about time I reviewed an NES game because October 2025 marked the 40th anniversary of the console's release in North America, although I might not have noticed that if a bunch of other people hadn't already posted commemorative videos. 8 Eyes was one of those games that maybe a friend of yours owned, or you rented once, or it was alphabetically near the top of a list of ROMs you downloaded, so you gave it a try. But it wasn't a beloved classic of the NES era. That's what I'm trying to get across. Nobody ran down the stairs on Christmas morning praying to an uncaring god to receive a copy of 8 Eyes. This is the first game I've reviewed which isn't based on a movie or a comic or a book or a cartoon. It does have a story, mostly told through the instruction manual. Centuries ago, nuclear war ravaged the Earth, and 8 powerful gems formed at the detonation sites. Together, these so-called 8 Eyes can be harnessed to peacefully rebuild the planet. You play as Orin the Falconer, tasked with retrieving the jewels from 8 international jerkwads. Our quest begins with a bad omen, because they somehow fucked up the title screen. 8 Eyes. Where'd that random apostrophe come from? And they made this mistake in multiple places, so it's pretty glaring. Yeah, I'm irritated when people don't know the difference between a plural and a possessive. I have a similar reaction whenever I see a Popeyes sign. But next comes something I like, a stage select screen. In the days of the NES, when you might have a limited time to play a rental, Stage Select was a lifesaver because even if you got stuck on a certain level, you'd still be able to see a lot of the game. It was a welcome feature in ball-busting titles like Silver Surfer and, Cool World. You can choose among 7 castles, with the final stage, the House of Ruth, blocked for now.
This is fighting round the world. We're gonna have lots of fun today.
The manual includes profiles of all the ethnic stereotypes awaiting your blade. Did they seriously equip the German dude with a swastika? I don't know if it matters where I start, so let's try Arabia. Each level begins outside, which might seem pointless, but the game is showing you that every door has a corresponding switch to open it. And on some levels there are even power-ups hidden out here. 8 Eyes is full of secrets, and you'll never complete the game without mastering them. The combat is meat and potatoes, B to attack, A to jump, but your toothpick sword doesn't have much range, so you'll need to time it right if you want to avoid trading damage with enemies. Almost immediately I run into a dude who seems invincible, but it's an opportunity to introduce the game's main gimmick. You can release your falcon, Cuttress, who is apparently smarter than you and knows how to kill this guy. Go for the nads, boy. Cuttress can flip switches, collect items, and has his own health bar. In 2-player mode, the second player controls the Falcon. That works way better than trying to control both characters by myself, but I'll have to get used to it. Within only a few screens, the Arabian castle has drained my health. These swordsmen respawn in seconds. Damn. Wait, game over? That's right. 1 life, no continues. Cruelest of the old school gaming mandates. There is a password system, but if you die during a boss fight, you're gonna have to replay the entire level. Maybe you're not supposed to go to Arabia right away. Let's try Italy. By now you'll have noticed how many elements of 8 Eyes echo Castlevania. The stage designs look similar, you pick up various sub-weapons, walls contain hidden items, and even some of the enemies look familiar, like this fire-spitting bone pile. But it's worth noting the differences as well. 8 Eyes doesn't have that annoying knockback when you get hit, falling in pits isn't lethal because you just drop to a lower floor of the castle, and the pace of combat is slower. Simon Belmont's whip is far superior to Orin's sword though. I have to use hit and run tactics to stand a chance. I made it to the Italian boss, but he has a crazy ass pet panther scratching the shit out of me. And I'm dead. Game over, gotta start from the beginning of the castle if I want another shot at him. Typically this is where I get a respite from the game by telling you about the movie it's based on, but that's not an option in this case. There's absolutely no tie-in material, sequels, or related media for 8 Eyes. I could tell you that in the Japanese version, the hero is related to James Bond for whatever reason, but I still need a break before playing further, and I am kind of hungry. I could get Indian food, Persian, Italian, no, I know. I mentioned the apostrophe thing to them, but they just laughed at me. Although everyone who works at Popeyes is an expert at 8 Eyes for some reason. I think it's part of their corporate training. Just a weird coincidence. But they offered me some game tips, and also some free red beans and rice, in exchange for making it clear that this review is not sponsored or endorsed by Popeyes or its parent company, Restaurant Brands International. Tip number 1 is that the ice ball sub-weapon is overpowered because its freezing effect works on bosses. Use it whenever possible to spam attacks on them. Number 2 is that the same enemies always drop the same loot, which helps you budget your health and item power. Last and most important is that the order in which you play the stages does matter. It matters a lot. But how do you determine the correct order? The instructions mention that the starter weapon is only good for a country near France. That doesn't totally narrow it down, but I'm just going to tell you it's Spain. Go to Spain first. There's nothing special about the level itself. Just conserve as much health as you can and be sure to pick up the ice ball. The enemies here are generic guys with swords or bows, knights, and bats. I love retro game manuals with hand-drawn art in place of sprites. But what's up with these enemy names? Crossboy, Scimitar Sam, Jackknife? It's like someone's boss told them to come up with all the names at 4:55 p.m. on a Friday. Ugly, Baldy. I'm lucky my character is named Orin rather than Bird Boy or Falcon Fucker or something. The boss of the Spanish castle roves back and forth chopping the air and is pretty easy to take out. After you claim his jewel, you get a cutscene where the two of you share a friendly cup of tea, a password, and a message that you earned a more powerful sword. Tragically, this statement is horseshit. Your powerful new sword still does the same amount of damage to every enemy in the game, except for one of the other bosses. Here's how it works. The sword I got from Spain does double damage to the boss of Egypt, but if I don't know that, and how would I, maybe I go to India instead. If I manage to beat the boss of India without the correct sword, which is possible, then I get a new sword that does double damage to a different boss. But because it replaces the sword I had before, now I can never have the sword the Egyptian guy is vulnerable to. See how easy it is to break the intended sequence and screw yourself over? For some bosses it may not matter, but for others you really need the right sword. The German edgelord in particular is pretty much impossible without it. If I must make the obvious comparison, the Mega Man games had a more elegant approach. As you collect new weapons, you can try all of them on all the bosses. Some weapons are super effective, others might just bounce off, but it encourages you to deduce the boss's weaknesses. Maybe these metal blades can chop up Woodman. Maybe the guy made of fire is weak to the water-based weapon. This rock, paper, scissors dynamic sustained the franchise through dozens of games. Eight Eyes is more like rock, rock, rock.
Poor predictable Bart always takes rock. Good old rock. Nothing beats that.
You have one weapon at a time, and you never know which boss is weak against it. Unless there's something I'm missing, there are no clues pointing to the simplest path. Old games sometimes took a lot of trial and error to finish, but even by those standards, Eight Eyes is an enigmatic son of a bitch. I won't spoil the complete boss order in case you want to try it yourself, but I will admit that I looked it up. Now, onwards to the House of Ruth. Who is Ruth anyway? Probably another goofy-looking weirdo. Let me see that manual again. Well now.
Hello, nurse.
I'm suddenly very motivated to get to the end of this level. All it is a boss rush. I knew I shouldn't have left these guys alive, and your health is refilled after each fight, so it's not too punishing. The only boss missing is the German, maybe because he really is too hard to kill with the wrong sword. Here's Ruth. Looks like the concept art didn't quite translate to 8 bits.
Goodbye, nurse.
Is that the ending? Another date with someone who wasn't as hot as their profile pic? No, there's another secret of the 8 Eyes to unravel. The gems must be placed upon the altar in a specific order. And remember, these are powerful relics born of atomic devastation, so if you blunder, guess what happens?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Total protonic reversal.
Yeah, or nothing. I was hoping for a cool game over message, but the puzzle just resets. If you remember your probability and statistics lessons, you'll know that there are over 40,000 possible solutions. Fortunately, there are hints. Unfortunately, they are of course hidden. Each of the first 7 castles contains a scroll with a clue for the final puzzle, like white is next to yellow, but yellow is not between black and white. Run the jewels correctly, and you'll get a pretty bare-bones congratulations, along with a password to replay the game with faster enemies. Thanks, but no thanks. 8 Eyes isn't bad because it's difficult, and it isn't difficult because it's badly designed, unlike some other NES games. You do need action platforming skill, but the challenge is more about decoding exactly what to do and how to do it, at which point the game becomes very predictable. In that way, it's more like Wizards and Warriors than Castlevania. If you've burned through all the famous titles on the system, if your expectations aren't too high, and especially if you can get a second player involved, then you might like 8 Eyes. Having completed it, I must depart on a new quest in search of 8 chicken sandwiches, 8 wings, 8 tenders, 8 biscuits, 8 nuggets, 8 mashed potatoes, 8 mac and cheese, 8 coleslaw, 8 Cajun fries, and a couple of dipping sauces. It's not an endorsement, I'm just addicted to them.
But now don't you start to whine. I'll see you again next time, 'cause there's plenty of more fighting left to do.